Peter King, NBCSports.com, the NFL columnist and Football Morning in America. Good morning, Pete. How are you?
Hey, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing okay. No complaints here.
Good.
Any thoughts on pushing back the draft, or do you think it's full speed ahead?
No, they're going to do the draft. They've gone too far to push it back. And I also think because they're going to have this, as I wrote yesterday in my column, there's going to be a telethon element associated with this draft. So I think they're going to sort of combine this telethon for COVID-19 relief along with the draft and do it that way. But no, I don't see them pushing it back, Dan.
Well, help me understand that telethon part of this. Are we going to have marquee players answering phone calls?
That I don't know. I think it'll probably be mostly online, but who knows?
Okay.
Maybe they will have a phone bank of people. But the one thing I do know about it is I think it's going to have players, coaches, and a lot of former players involved. The NFL, I do know this is because it's going to be a weird year to get players involved in this. The NFL has already arranged to send out 50 little portable cameras that players will set up to basically record themselves getting calls from general managers and coaches and all that when they're picked. So that is going to be part of this. Dan, this is all going to be weird. The fact that as I reported, NFL Network and ESPN are likely to be doing a combined telecast, cats and dogs working together there a little bit, Rich Eisen, Trey Wingo, and Daniel Jeremiah, and all the ESPN guys, Kuiper and all those guys. So it's all going to be very different this year.
There'll be a 30 for 30 on this draft one day.
That's what Chris Ballard, the Colts general manager, said to me. Yeah, honestly, he said, they're going to do a 30 for 30 on this draft.
Be fascinating. But you start to look at this and I'm okay if they want to do the draft if everybody can do their job leading up to the draft. I don't want to force this into, hey, we're going to hold the draft no matter what. Is everybody going to be able to do what they would normally do or come close to that? Yeah. See that?
How would you like to be the team that is picking Tua Tagovailoa in this draft?
No.
Not only did Tua have 3 injuries, significant injuries in his last 13 months of playing football, 2 ankles, 1 hip, but now no team doctor can, let's say it's the Dolphins, who the team that's been linked to him mostly, the Dolphins want to pick him. So your team doctor and your orthopedist, normally on a player like that, he would spend a day with the Dolphins doctors and medical staff. They'd be going over everything. He'd be spending half a day, sitting with Chan Gailey and the coaching staff. Obviously, Brian Flores. They can't do any of that.
Yeah. They
can be on a Zoom video conference or FaceTime with him for an hour, and so this is, Dan, Mike Tannenbaum said last week he thought it'd be irresponsible for any team to pick Tua in the top 10. I'm not sure I'd go that far, but you're putting your career on the line, basically, if you pick a guy with a significant injury history, because if that injury history flares up again, all of a sudden you're going to be the village idiot.
Yeah, and I wonder if all of a sudden Justin Herbert becomes more attractive to the Dolphins because he checks all the boxes here. He's healthy, and these injuries follow these players when they go from college to the pros. We've seen this with, Sam Bradford. Like a lot of these guys, the injury trail continues, and that might scare off the Dolphins if you're going to be picking that high and looking for a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, you just don't know. The key, though, the good thing for the Dolphins, quite honestly, is when you have Ryan Fitzpatrick, you've got a guy who's good enough to handle it for a year if he has to. And look, I don't care what quarterback you picked. If he's got the most pristine medical exam of any player in history, can you imagine Joe Burrow without any off-season program other than one that's staring at his laptop, doing it that way, and then maybe having a very abbreviated training camp. Imagine him playing opening day if there is an opening day. I mean, that's one of the reasons why my operating theory is I don't necessarily think it's any guarantee the Bengals are getting rid of Andy Dalton. Why would you?
Yeah.
You might need him.
Yeah, I wondered about that too, that it might make sense. And certainly if I'm drafting Tua, I'm not looking at, playing Tua in that first year. Like I would use caution with him. And if you have Ryan Fitzpatrick, that's why you kept him. I would just say, you're our quarterback, Tua. We're going to bring him along as slowly as possible. And you don't have to kind of throw him in there and say, all right, sink or swim for this team. But we're talking to Peter King from NBC Sports and, of course, Football Morning in America. Where's the commissioner going to be on draft nights?
I'd be surprised now if he wasn't in his house in Bronxville, New York, doing the picks from there. I mean, if you're asking every one of your employees, you're asking Chris Greer of the Miami Dolphins to have 3 first-round picks. This will be the biggest night of Chris Greer's executive career. And he's got to do it alone, sitting in his house, being connected by Zoom or WebEx or whatever they use to all other employees on the Dolphins. You're asking all these people to do this stuff from their homes, and you're not in your house. It'd look not too good. I think Roger Goodell is going to have his a little camera set up in his house. Which is the easiest thing in the world. Half the free world. If you watch any news network now, you see all these people. Hey, they look pretty good on their remote camera. That's because everybody's got what Peter King has. He's got a spare room in his apartment in Brooklyn, and NBC came in and set up a camera. So when I'm on TV, it looks like there's a great setup there, and it's fine. So. I'd be surprised now if Roger Goodell wasn't in his house. I don't know anything, but that would be my strong recommendation. And by the way, as I wrote yesterday in my column, I can tell you that there are TV people who really want Roger Goodell in his house because that's setting an example for the rest of America, quite honestly.
Yeah, that's a good point. I still don't understand why the Panthers got rid of Cam Newton. Or the way they got rid of Cam Newton. Is there any other information about this? It just seems like there's some unanswered questions there.
Well, I'll try to read the tea leaves, even though obviously this has been a very well-guarded secret. It's no secret that Cam Newton wanted some sort of commitment. He said so in either an Instagram or Twitter post that he wanted a commitment from the Panthers. So this is a team that's got a new coach who's probably barely met Cam in his life. He got a new offensive coordinator who comes from the Saints school, who's 30 or 31 years old. He's a young guy. They're trying to build something for the long haul. Dan, the only way I would not have given Cam Newton a contract extension in Carolina, because I don't know what he is right now. The last year and a half, he's not been Cam Newton. He's been injured. So I would really want to see him, and I'd want to see if he worked in whatever offense we were going to run. So just my gut feeling, I think that they probably said, we'd rather get a quarterback to build with for the long haul who health-wise and in our scheme we're comfortable with. Ergo Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, but I guess Cam Newton's healthy, though. Didn't he get medical clearance here?
Yes. But even last year at the start of training camp, go back to what he told me late last July, and that is that he was learning how to be a different quarterback. He had great respect for guys like Peyton Manning and stuff who kind of reinvented themselves with maybe a lesser arm late in their careers. And so he talked to me openly about being a different player and welcoming playing the position maybe a little bit differently, not putting himself in harm's way as much. So again, I don't doubt that he's healthy, but in my opinion, being healthy and being handed $150 million over 5 years are two different things. I don't know what Cam Newton is right now.
Yeah, if he's going to be a pocket passer, then I don't want him. If he has that ability to be anywhere near what he once was, then I could see the fascination there or curiosity. But I was just curious about, could he have stayed
it's a good
there?
Question. I don't know. I don't think any of us know. And the other problem is, Dan, when are you going to be able to see Cam Newton? When is Matt Rule going to be able to run him through drills? When? August?
Yeah.
So this is all such a mystery. I don't blame the Panthers. I don't blame anybody. I mean, they got a new coach. They got to set themselves up for the long haul. I don't blame them that they're not that they don't want to get married to Cam Newton before they even go out on a date.
I saw where Hard Knocks is looking at both the Rams and the Chargers. If they're able to have a training camp on time, what do you know?
I don't know a damn thing about it. That's the first I've heard of it. I don't know anything. Dan, you know what? I just got to tell you this. I wrote 11,455 words yesterday, okay? And there are 10 things that I didn't talk about, didn't discuss that I could have. I mean, there is more happening now in the NFL than there is in a heavy regular season week. It's insane. There's nothing. All these sports talk shows, all of your shows, honestly, I hate to say it because it's great for the NFL. I'm not trying to shill for them, but it should be all NFL all the time. Well, that and baseball in May in Arizona. That'll be weird. 4.5 months of every baseball game in Surprise, Arizona. And I don't know. That's a pretty weird thing too. So yeah, you're allowed to talk about that too. But there's an awful lot going on in the NFL. And Hard Knocks is about the 440th thing on my mind. But I will say this: if I were Hard Knocks, I'd pick a team right now, and I would start the cameras rolling. I mean, I wrote yesterday in my column, I followed the Indianapolis Colts basically last week virtually. Chris Ballard is having Zoom meetings with 19 scouts from his basement. And with scouts all over the country spread out because they can't meet personally. This is an incredibly fascinating time in NFL history. I mean, all of it is and this draft is going to be incredibly interesting. How it comes out, how it comes off, whether the NFL ends up giving people more time for their picks, how trades get worked out. I just think the whole time is fascinating.
Peter, thank you. Thank you for being Peter King.
All right, Dan. All the best to you. Take care.
Peter King, Football Morning in America.